Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me. This morning we're going to do a flow for the stomach and spleen meridian lines. In yin yoga basics, we don't use the muscles very much at all. Try to keep them soft because we're working on connective tissues. And we also do acupressure on ourselves. And so this is what I mean when I say the stomach and the spleen meridian lines. Those are our energy lines. So that's what we will be working with this morning. Tops of your legs, down the fronts of them, and just to the inside of them. I will get this a little bit better so you can see my mat. So we're going to start off however you'd like to, in a comfortable cross-legged seat, one foot in front of the other. You can see I'm sitting like that. You can lie back if you prefer. And if you are going to lie back, have your feet apart, insides of your knees resting together. Hands can be on your belly or by your sides, palms up or down. Maybe one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. That's a nice calming circle of energy. Can be energizing as well. If you're going to sit, it's the same thing. One foot in front of the other. Palms up or down on your lap, on your thighs, or on your lap, in your lap. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and now let them slide down your back away from your ears. Tuck your chin in slightly, so that lengthens the back of the neck. And let your eyes fall softly shut. Just settling onto your mat, into your space. Just let go of whatever has happened or didn't so far this morning. Let go of whatever is in store today. Just telling yourself you'll think about all of these busy thoughts once you step outside of your room and go back to your regular life. So that this next hour is just for you, body, mind, and spirit. Do a body scan. Next, take note if there are any areas on any level, physical or mental, spiritual or emotional, areas or issues that may arise. Taking note of that. And it's not that you'll dwell on whatever does arise, but you acknowledge it. Maybe create some space for whatever it or they are. When we check in again at the end of the hour with how we're feeling, you may notice that things have subtly shifted in sensation or perspective. With all the worries on our minds right now, that probably comes up. So it's not that you'll dwell on that, but acknowledge it and maybe let it percolate in the back of your mind. Maybe things will settle or shift. Begin to notice your breath now. Don't change anything, just become aware of it. Whereabouts in your chest cavity are you breathing? How fast are you breathing? Are you breathing through your nose or your mouth or a bit of both? So begin to breathe in and back out again through your nose. Pull that air in past the rings of the nostrils. Trace its path as it flows up your nose, down your throat, into your lungs. And then back out that same pathway. Feel the swirl past the rings of the nostrils as the breath exits the body. Notice the difference in temperature there, right at the rings of the nostrils. How the air is cooler when it first swirls in, and how it's warmer when it exits. Notice how your breath is slowing down, deepening. We're getting to the bottom of the lungs where the air tends to stagnate. So start to even out your inhales and your exhales now. Put a count to 2 or 3. as you pull the air in, and then that same steady count as you send it back out again. If the counting doesn't work for you, try this little mantra, a little phrase. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Matching that phrase to your inhales and your exhales. Or simply just saying breathing in, breathing out. Another way to focus your mind, direct your thoughts. On another inhale, still counting or using the mantra to keep your breath even and steady. Pay attention to how your rib cage moves. Notice how it expands in 4 directions. The fronts lift and separate. If you're lying back, you'll feel the backs of your ribs press into your mat. What about the side ribs? Not as much noticeable movement there, but still some. Watch that rib cage contract as you exhale. Go deeper now beneath your pearly white ribs. See your lungs, pink and healthy, virtual sponges that fill up the majority of our chest cavity. Now notice their expansion too. Fronts, backs, inner and outer sides, thickening, taking in air. Watch how they contract when you exhale. You're breathing your yogic breath now. Steady, rhythmical, full breath. It's effortless. Check that your shoulders are still relaxed. And this breath helps keep your mind inside your body, as I mentioned, focusing or directing your thoughts. And the more we practice with this presence, the better the benefits. But the other reason for this emphasis on the breath is that it'll also let you know in yin if you're working too hard or pushing or maybe in too deep. If the breath becomes ragged, then you know you need to back off, modify, so that you can always come back to the most important part of yin or any style of yoga, and that is your breath. And finally, before we start the flow, set an intention for this morning's practice. We practice with this attention, but always with an intention. What brought you here to your mat this morning? Can be a personal reason, can be larger than yourself, for a person. Now, if you are on your back, make your way to one side. Pause there for a moment. Let's open our eyes and blink them open and closed a few times. If you're seated, you might want to lift your knees and stretch them out. Give them a little bounce and a rock from the top of the hips. Maybe push through the feet. When you feel ready, if you are on your back, push into your mat with one of your hands and help yourself back up to a cross-legged seat. We're going to start off with, and come to all fours. We're going to start off with wide-legged pose of the child. So from all fours, you want to move your knees out to about the side edges of your mat and keep your toes together. See if you can sink back onto your heels and sit down. It's really important because then you can relax your thighs. If that doesn't happen, take a block, or if you don't have a block at home, maybe a book, put it between your toes and sit on that. Remember, there's different sides to the block, so you can sit on the high end too and see how that keeps your knees further open. You can also, if you've got a little quilt or a little towel, blanket, roll it up and put it behind your knees, and that also will help keep the knee joints open, so there's not so much pressure on them. And if those things still don't work, then you can kind of sort of modify this. Well, you can modify it, but you can do it kind of the same by lying on your back and having your knees apart and keep your toes together. And then when we add the twisting part, you can twist over, so that doesn't put the same pressure on your knees, and yet you're still getting compression in your hips. So we're going to sink back, and we're going to start out by just walking your arms out in front of you. And then leave your left arm down on your mat like this and slide your right hand underneath it and come to rest on the side of your head like that. If that makes your bum pop up, then put a block or a pillow under your head so that you don't have to go down quite as far. Same thing as if it pulls too much on the shoulders, use something under your head. You're going to be here for a lovely 3 minutes. So find the shape of the pose. Relaxing your legs. Relax your arms and your shoulders. In Yin Yoga, there's 3 principles, 3 tattvas they're known as. And the first one is this coming into the pose to an appropriate depth. It's a place where we feel some tugging in various areas. At this point, you might want to take this left arm that's on the mat and wrap it behind your waist. See if you can find a comfortable place to just relax it. Some of you might find you can grab the inner thigh, hook your hand there. Maybe you wiggle this right shoulder a little closer to the inner knee. If you can't seem to relax that left shoulder, then put it back down on your mat so that you can relax. Remember, you're not pulling, you're surrendering. Yin is a surrendering practice. Breathing in, breathing out. So we come to this edge, and it's a place of a little bit of discomfort. We're not so happy there, and we start to notice all kinds of annoyances, tugs. But it should never be a place of pain. So if something is painful at all, or starts to get painful, then you need to back off, modify using a block or a quilt, as I mentioned already, or come out altogether and go back to just a regular child's pose. When I'm teaching a class, I'm not doing it with you, I'm walking around, so I can help with those modifications too. Steady breathing. The second principle or tattva is this stillness. And we try not to back away. On your next inhale, unwrap your back arm if it's wrapped and set it down, exhaling. Inhale, bring yourself back up. If you want to come forward and release those knees and hips before we go to the other side, do that. If not, just feed now. Your left arm comes under. Oh, it's nice to see more people coming in, but I'm too far away to read, so good morning. Think about your left shoulder coming to the inside of your right knee. Just leave this right hand down, resting, relaxing. Notice the changes, the difference on this second side, how maybe it feels a little tighter. We felt a little further in on that first side than when we switch sides. So notice that edge again. And then try to be still there. Relaxing as much as you can. Softening your muscles. Breathing in. Breathing out. At this point you can wrap, check my time, wrap your extended arm if you like behind you. Maybe wiggle this left arm a little closer to the right inner knee. Relax into that new edge. So the edge isn't stagnant or it's static. It changes. The other part of the stillness tattva is this inner stillness. Closing your eyes. Going inside so you can pay attention. Notice when things ebb, that maybe you can move a little deeper into the pose. Notice when there's subtle changes. Maybe there's more compression on your right hip in the front of it right now than on the left. Maybe the pulling has shifted deep into the back of the hip in the butt cheek. Maybe the ankles are feeling the pressure right now. Maybe you can find your big toe. Maybe the pressure is through the center of the kneecaps. What's happening with the shoulders? Relax your jaw. A few more breaths. Now on your next inhale, unwrap your back arm, set it down. Push into that and exhale. Push into that right hand, bringing your left hand out. Come forward onto all fours. Lift your knees one at a time so they're back under your hips. Stay still. So important to enjoy this delicious spearmint feeling. One of my students, Cheryl, coined that. So good. Warmth, coolness, kind of a buzzing. And then do some cat-cows here. Arch your back, tuck your tailbone, drop your head. Go the opposite way, look up, spread the sit bones, push into those hands, dropping the belly. Go through 3 or 4. Inhale, exhale. One breath, one movement, doesn't matter which one you're doing. And then when you're done, end with a flat back. Swing your legs to one side or cross at the ankles and roll over them. Easy on the knees though, and come to a seated position. We're going to do a flow now of 3 poses for one side, and then we'll switch and do those same 3 on the second side. So lean over to your left butt cheek, pull in your right leg and set it down. It's going to feel like a runner's stretch basically, but you're seated. This is my timer. This is my iPad today because I left my other phone upstairs. So pull this in. If you can, you want to have your foot beside you like that. If the top of the foot doesn't want to go on the floor, maybe there's been a broken ankle or a sprained ankle or just some issue there and it wants to go up to the side, that's okay. But just try to get a little bit of sensation down the center of that ankle again, and a nice compression through your thigh. So we're going to start sitting here. If you feel crooked and you can't seem to get yourself level, because it's important that you have your pelvis level, get your trusty block or your book again and sit on it. So see, that raises you up and it takes the pressure off your knee, so that's lovely. Takes some of the pressure off your hip, but it also keeps this pelvis nice and stable and centered. It's not good to be all crooked and then we're trying to relax, and that's not going to happen. Okay? If you're not using the block there, you can use it a little later. So take an inhale, and then on your exhale, let's lean back. And you'll notice right away how that pulls down the center of the thigh. You can stay here. If you feel like, yeah, I could go a little further, maybe you go down to one elbow. Try not to let the knee lift up. So try to keep it down. And in some reading last night, I know I've always been saying knees should be as much as you can together. And you can try that because it does add to the pull on the outside of the hip. But in Sarah Powers, this is her flow. She's got her knee further apart like that, so that's okay, especially in full saddle. But for now, keep them where they just seem to want to be. Maybe you're down to 2 elbows right now. This is where a block can come in handy. Put it behind your shoulder blades like that. Maybe you can lean right back on it, and then you can let your head go back. Keep this low back suspended in air. There's an arch there, and that's what she suggests. So put something under your shoulders, but if that puts too much strain on your low back here, then maybe if you've got, and watch how if you were watching, my head doesn't get picked up. It's back there, so it's not safe to pull it up. Just leave it there. So if you need to adjust, do that. move maybe a blanket or a quilt if you have another one. I happen to have lots, being a quilter, and this channel or my Instagram is usually about my quilting. So roll up maybe another towel or a blanket, and then you can lie it down this way and go back, and that'll support your whole back. You want to try to keep a little bit of a back bend, an arch there, so let your head go back. If it's okay, you'll feel a pull in your throat too. Okay, so that's another option. Steady breathing. In through your nose, back out through your nose. Be here one more minute. If you like, you can move your arms out to the side now. If that feels nice, you might get a nice tug across the chest. Maybe some of you like to get them over your head, pull through the rib cage, side of your ribs, especially underarms, back of the arms. The third principle, don't think I ever did get there, of yin is time. You might have picked that up if this is your first time doing yin. We hold these poses for a long time, and I keep looking at my iPad because I'm timing us there. Now remember how we came out? We're going to leave our head back. We're going to use our core here, so pull your bottom rib to the top of your pelvis so that you're engaging your core. Push into your elbows, your hands, walk yourself up, and your right back upright. We're going to come right into the second pose. Bend your left knee, push yourself forward, and you're set up just about perfect for dragon. Back up a little bit. You creep your right toes, or your leg, using your toes under like this, back. Stack your joints here. Your ankle, your left ankle wants to be nicely under your knee, so you got this nice straight line there. See if you can get the kneecap into the armpits. That seems to give your left arm a little bit more length, if you like. If you still are having trouble, some people have long legs like me compared to my arms. You wouldn't believe it because I'm so short, but blocks can be really nice under one or both, but especially under that left hand to give you a little bit of extra length. Once you've got your right leg back, that you kind of feel, oh my God, it feels like we're doing splits a little bit here, then that's perfect. Set the top of your foot down. Move this out of the way so you can see. Good. And then you're gonna look on your mat or on the floor in front of you about a meter or so that this keeps your neck and your head in a nice alignment there. So we don't want to let our head drop like this. We're going to keep it in line. Maybe you're on your fingertips. That's a good way to strengthen our finger joints for a little bit. So I have every once in a while my cat decides to join me. Well, every once in a while, every time I do yoga or meditation, she loves to be in here, so don't mind her. She's a bit of a diva. She likes to be on camera. Once, if it's bothering finger joints to be on your fingertips, then switch positions. Maybe you go to fists to be kind to your wrists. Just know that when you do switch hand position, your legs will kick in, and you want to try to relax your leg muscles as much as you can. If the sensation through the hips gets too intense though, then use your leg muscles a little bit to back off. Remember, we're always looking for just a comfortable discomfort, a tugging, not off the charts at all. Now inhale, bring your left hand inside, and we're going to start to bend our arms a little bit, so you're lowering your torso down. Some of you, if you've got that block or that book handy, this is really nice. Rest your forearms on the block. You can stack your fists and give your head a break, neck a break, and relax onto those fists. Don't let your left leg flare out keep it as it was. Some of you might get onto the mat. Same thing, stack your fists or let your head rest on your stacked hands. This really ups the compression in your left hip joint. Gives you a nice deep tug through the right hip socket. Dragons work really deeply into your hip sockets. They can really help with sciatica. Steady breathing. This is one where you might find the ocean breath is a good help. That HA sound in the back of your throat. Ujjayi breath. Now we're going to, for the last 30 seconds, flap our left leg up and down a couple of times and then leave it open. Like a little dragon winged. In fact, that's what this is called. Winged dragon. This is helping get the spleen meridian line. It runs just to the inside of the stomach meridian. Strong, deep pull you're feeling down the center of your right extended leg and into the front of that hip joint. There's some of the pathway up the stomach meridian. Now inhale, set that left foot down, come up onto your hands, tuck your back toes under a little bit, or under, and then lift your hips and send them back. That helps to release that hip joint. Should feel delicious having that warmth, coolness flood back through those hips. Come forward. Now heel toe your foot across your mat towards the right and then set it down. So our left foot is down. Send that left knee out to the side, and you might find that you're really crooked like this. So this is when a block can help you, or maybe even a blanket. You might not need something this high. Put it under this left butt cheek so that that right away levels out your hips, and that's important for this pose. If you don't need something quite that high, grab that little blanket, towel, quilt, and put that under your hip. Again, make sure that that left knee is going out to the side a little bit, just so you feel that abduction, feeling that tug through the groin. Flexing your left foot can also help here to protect the knee. And if this does not feel good at all on your knee, then swing around, and you can do this as eye of the needle on your back. So knee, remember, no pain. So you put the left ankle above the right knee, that knee still going out to the side, and keep it away from you. You can control how intense you go. Clasp beneath the knee. Maybe use your elbow to push a little bit on that thigh. There's always options, always modifications. Listen to your body. Never forcing. It's actually kind of cool doing this live on Instagram, because usually we're in a pretty dim room and everybody's eyes are closed, but there's still a little bit of the comparison goes on, and that's not yoga at all. So this is nice where it's just you. You can close your eyes. Now inhale. That was full swan. Now we'll go to sleeping swan. Walk your hands down. Maybe rest on your forearms. Let things settle down. Sleeping swan is where you end up turning your elbows out to the side. Stack your hands. Back up a little bit so you can see in here. There. Elbows out to the side. Stack your hands. Make a nice pillow for your forehead to rest on. Notice how the back bend is gone. But now we've added quite a bit more compression to this left hip. If you like, and your forehead comes down onto your mat, you can stretch your arms out in front of you. Palms can be flat on the floor, or you can put the palms together in prayer if you like. Gives us a nice tug through the back of the arms, getting a little bit into some of the upper body meridians. And if you feel super comfy here, you can always take your arms back like that. Know that that puts quite a lot of pressure onto your hips though. So easy does it. Breathing in. Breathing out. We've got outer rotation happening in our left hip here. Notice that complete different orientation compared to your right hip. Right hip is extended. A little bit of pressure in the front of it. Put that left hip in outer rotation. And with lying forward in sleeping swan, we've got a lot of compression added to that outer oriented, outer rotated hip. Feel the pressure down the outside line of your leg. And the tugging from the groin maybe along the inside line of that left leg. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Now inhale your way back up. If you have something under that left butt cheek, move it out of the way. Actually, no, we'll come out a little bit more intense. Tuck your back toes under and push into your hands and those back toes and step right back to downward facing dog. Stay still for the first several breaths when you get up to downward facing dog. And if you need to come to all fours first and you want to stay there for a little while, then by all means do that, and then tuck your toes and push back. Notice the different sensations in each leg because of the different rotations and orientations of our hip joint. When you're ready, start to walk the dog, lifting one heel at a time, bending the opposite set of toes. Push through that hamstring, don't go too quickly, so that you can really feel and notice through the hip, back of the leg. Come high on all 10 toes, give them a really nice bend. And then send those heels down. Push the hips up and back. Feel the strength. And then drop your knees down. Sink back to child's pose. Stack your hands if you like. Or make a nice pillow for your forehead. Or put your forehead on the mat. Arms go by your sides. Let that whole sequence go. And then slowly come back up. And we'll do that on the other side. So same thing again, cross the ankles or swing the feet to one side and roll over them, coming to a seated position. Stretch your legs out. So we started off with saddle. So this time we'll leave our right leg extended, lean to that right side, pull in your left leg. Sometimes it's kind of nice, you can move that calf flesh out of the way a little bit if you like. Top of the foot, remember, switch around this way, would make sense. So you can see top of the foot on the mat if you can. Remember, it's okay though for the ankle if it doesn't want to quite go all the way over. Remember the little tricks. You can use a block to sit on to lift up your hips and give you pressure off, take pressure off your knee. So you want to be nice and level here. Block can be great for under your shoulders too. So start to lean back now on your hands and notice how that already starts to pull through the quad a little bit more. Remember, comfortable discomfort. Maybe come down a little lower. You can keep, if you want to stay right here, you can keep your head looking forward, or you can find that trapezius muscle to rest your head on. That's good too. Maybe this is the point where you get that block under your shoulder blades. Lie back down. Keeping that arch in your low back. Letting your head go back so you get this little bit of tug through your throat. That's great for the thyroid gland. Relax your shoulders. Arms can be by your sides, out in a T, remember, if you like. Over your head, if you like. Find your yogic breath. Maybe revisit the sensations and issues maybe that arose at the beginning when we did that body scan. Notice if already maybe things have shifted. while you're lying back here, I often give a thought for the practice. And today's is one that I get in my inbox from a man who writes as the universe, and they're just inspirational or thought-provoking little things. And he wrote this time, "You can change a great many things, or you can change." Feel that back bend that you've got going. A little bit of an inner rotation through your hip joint. Maybe you can find a line almost from the outer point of your hip and trace it down the center of your quad, through the center of your kneecap. Pressure down your shin, top of the ankle. Find your big toe. Maybe you can find your second toe. That's where the stomach meridian ends. Now inhale and push into your elbows, your hands as you come up. Exhaling when you get all the way up. Keep going forward, and you'll find you're just about perfectly ready for dragon. So make sure that your right ankle this time is nicely under your knee. Get that kneecap kind of into your armpit, so that gives your right hand a little bit more length. Set the block under your hand if you need to. Tuck your left toes under and creep that left leg back, back, back until you feel that, oh my God, I feel like we're gonna do splits feeling, which we aren't doing this morning, but sometimes we do dragon splits. This can be a little tough on the knee too, so feel free to put a quilt under, a towel under that left knee if you like as well. Remember, try not to let your head drop. We're going to keep that string of pearls alignment with our head and our spine by looking on the floor about a meter in front of you, and then close your eyes. Breathe in. Breathe out. Notice how you slightly relax through the legs, and that ups the intensity immediately. Easy does it. Your breath is your guide. So if you start to lose it, then back off a little bit so that you can come back to this breath. You can use that Ujjayi breath here too. That HA sound. Now inhale, bring your right hand inside, so both hands are inside. This might be enough for you, or maybe you can start to bend the elbows, lowering your torso. Some of you can bring the block inside or your book and rest your forearms on that block, lowering your torso even more. Remember the little trick about you can stack your hands and set your forehead there, or you can go right down onto your mat if you like, some of you, as long as it's not a struggle. Your breath is your guide, so listen to it. Stack your fists or your hands, let your head rest if you like, or just keep your head in line with your spine. Don't let that left knee flare out. Try to keep it straight up. Notice how much more intense the compression is in the right hip now. And how it's like somebody's got a hold, I often say, of your femur, your thigh bone, and they're pulling it out of the pelvic socket on the left leg. The more we can soften our muscles, the deeper we can get into these connective tissues. That white stuff in your body. Now we're going to flap our right leg up and down like a little dragon wing, and then maybe on the third flap, let it open. So now we've got outer rotation happening there. Easy does it. If it bothers your knee, don't turn your knee out. This is a way to get some of the trigger points along the spleen meridian. Enters the body at the groin. Inhale now, set that foot down. Come up onto your hands, tuck your back toes under and push your hips up and back. Bring that right leg on the outside of that right foot. Breathe in, breathe out. Enjoy that delicious spearmint feeling of warmth, coolness flowing through those hips. Maybe rock up onto the heel to give the hamstring a little tug. And then we're going to heel toe our foot across our mat again, coming into swan pose. Set it down. Remember the tip about check with the knee. If this causes you any kind of pain, then you swing around and do this on your back. Eye of the needle. This time it'll be your right leg against your left knee, just above it, and you can control, you can reach through. Okay, so that's where you go there. So if you're okay here, tuck your left toes under and move that left leg back until you stop. Remember, put something under this right butt cheek so that you're not crooked like this. We want to have our low back level. Send that right knee out to the side a little bit if you can, so you can feel how this does have some abduction going on, pulling through the groin and down the inside line of the leg. You can keep your hands in front of that shin, flex the foot a little bit, that helps protect it. Or you can maybe set your hands, sometimes I like to set them on my leg, and move your torso back a little bit. And you'll notice, check your leg is extended straight behind you and your foot too. You'll notice when you move your torso back a little bit that ups the back bend. You feel maybe a fanning sensation here through your low back. Relax your shoulders. Close your eyes. Breathe in. Breathe out. Notice the sensation in the front of that left hip joint. Now inhale and walk your hands forward. Notice how the sensation in the front of the hip joint starts to leave as you're walking forward, coming into sleeping swan. Maybe you rest on your forearms, stack your fists, hands make fists, and rest your head. Open your elbows out to the sides maybe and rest your head on your stacked hands or forearms. Some of you might get your forehead down onto your mat, and then you can stretch your arms out in front of you, palms down or palms together in prayer. Breathing in. Use your ocean breath here. Breathe out. Obviously, whatever we put into our stomach has the first and main impact on the health of our stomach chi, stomach energy. The stomach is a sorter, as viewed by the Taoists. The same theories for acupuncture and acupressure. And it sorts the food that we ingest. It sends some of the food to the spleen, and the spleen extracts the pure essences from the food. The stomach sends it. The foods that need a little more breaking down get sent to the small intestine, so that then they can be converted into us. Now inhale. Come slowly back up. If you have something under your right butt cheek, get it out of the way so you can lean to that side. Help swing this. Oh no, we came out into downward dog, didn't we? So we'll do that again. Sorry. Tuck your left toes under and push into your hands, and you can either step right back to downward facing dog and stay still, or if you need to, come to all fours. Stay there as long as you like. and then come up to downward facing dog. Just enjoy that lovely feeling that we literally kind of get addicted to in yin when we come out of these poses. That's such a fabulous release, flood of warmth through your hips, low back, but mainly the hips, down the legs. Walk the dog when you're ready, sending one heel down, bending the opposite set of toes. Keep your hips up and back. Come high up on all 10 toes. Give them a good bend. First place we start to tighten up with the aging process is our feet. And so give those toes a good bend. Send the heels down. Push back. Hips up and back. And then drop your knees. Sink back to child's pose. Let all of that go. Now slowly on an inhale, come up. Once again, swing your legs to one side or across the ankles and roll over them. Straighten out your legs, give them that little bend or bounce. And then we're going to swivel sideways on your mat so you've got nice padding under your legs and your heels. Have a block handy again. Those of you that are probably cyclists and runners often get really tight hamstrings here, so you don't have to keep your legs flat. Pull them in if you like. Set something under them, whether it's a little blanket to give the back of the knee a break. You can use a couple if you like under those knees so they see how they keep a little bit less straight, so not a problem. And if they really are bothering you this morning, pull the heels in quite a lot and have quite a big bend in your legs, not a problem. If you're okay, then leave them flat. Sit your hips on the edge of something quite often for this because this next pose can aggravate sciatica. So I usually like to put a little quilt rolled up and just under the sit bones. So you barely are on it. Yours is slightly lifted and it tilts the pelvis forward nicely. So we're going to inhale over to the left. Take your right hand on the outside of that thigh and wrap your left hand behind your waist. Relax your shoulders. You can move this into your neck if you like by bringing your chin over to that left shoulder. So think about moving your chin in that direction, and right away you should feel a little bit more tug on your neck. Relax your arms. You're not pulling yourself around. You're finding the yin side of the twist. So it's a relaxed twist so that we can get into those connective tissues again. Ligaments along our spine. Maybe you can feel a pull through your rib cage. As you exhale, pull those bottom ribs all the way in and down so you're fully exhaling. This is getting the tissues and cartilage in, within, between, beneath your ribs. Think of a package of ribs that you buy for the barbecue, and it's got that white stuff all along and behind on the flat side of the ribs. So twisting is a way to help tug on those connective tissues. Now inhale, just part way back, and exhale, leaning over that extended left leg. Don't pull yourself forward, let your arms be nice and loose. You can use your hands beneath the back of the knee if you like here, if it puts too much pressure on. You can let your head go. Relax both of your legs. Breathe in. Breathe out. Listen to your breath. Feel how much room the back of your lungs have to expand. Inhale your way up now. Exhale when you get back to the center. We'll do that on the other side. So inhale over to the right. Take your left hand on the outside of your thigh. Use your right hand behind you or wrap it behind your waist like we did. Think about your right shoulder. Bring your chin towards it. Don't drop your chin. Don't lift your chin up. Keep it center. Just move your chin over towards that shoulder. Close your eyes. Relax your arms. Sometimes if you're having trouble getting the arms to relax, do that little pull with your arms and you'll go further. And then relax your legs, relax your arms, and you'll unwind a little bit. But then you might start to notice all of a sudden you feel more sensation in your shoulder blade, ribs, maybe along your spine all of a sudden you notice. Maybe in the tissues in the abdomen you notice. Twisting is wonderful for our spine, but also great for those organs that are in our abdomen, getting a little bit of a squeeze here. So compression, so there's not as much and as freely flowing blood. But then when we untwist, the blood can rush into those formerly compressed areas. With your yogic breath, your blood is rich in oxygen right now, much more than when you first came onto your mat. Now inhale your way part way over, and so that you're still over that right leg, and lean forward. Notice maybe the difference on this side. Notice how the legs want to kick in. So consciously relax the quads. Let your head go if it's okay for the back of your neck. Ride your breath in and out. Notice the slight pulling in the low back. Is it more on the left side than the right? Because there's a bit of a compression with a bit of this. This is a bit of a twist here. So there's compression on the right side. On your next inhale, slowly bring yourself back up. How are we doing for time? Exhale when you get to the center. Lean back on your hands, leave your legs where they are just to release those hips. Take a few breaths there, and then lift those knees, set them down. Lean back on your hands, go through some nice, gentle windshield wipers. Feel that motion in the hip joints. Feel that warmth and coolness. And then swing around and come down onto your back. Arms are going to come out to a T. We're going to bend in our left leg. Scoot the right hip under a little bit so you can twist over to the right. Put something like a block or a book under the inner left knee if you need it to. If that knee is fairly high up off the mat, you can reach down with your right hand and rest on the outside of that left knee. Try not to sacrifice the shoulder lifting up. Try to keep everything in contact with the
floor. Turn your head if it's okay for your neck and look to that outstretched left hand. Think about your left ear, that it could come onto your mat. And it's not that you're pulling with your right hand, you're just resting it there for some extra weight. Breathe in. Breathe out. Twists help release tension that might have built up in our spine. Now inhale yourself back to the center, plant your feet, lift your hips into the air so you realign your spine, set the hips down. Stretch out your left leg, scoot your left hip under maybe a little bit, and let that right leg go across your body. Reaching down with your left hand, resting it on the side of the knee, fingers maybe in the pit of the knee. Try to keep both shoulders in contact with the mat. Looking out towards your right hand. Think about your right ear, that it could come onto your mat. Breathing, relax into this twist. Twists also work on the nervous system, helping to restore that equilibrium between our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system so that we have that all is well feeling back. Inhale your leg back to the center now. Once more, plant those foot soles, push into them, lift your hips into the air, set the hips down, bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your shins, give yourself a hug. Rock over that spine, massaging. And then if you have a light on, you might like to turn it off. I'll leave mine on so that I don't disappear. Stretch your legs out or have them bent with the inner knees resting together if you like. Hands by your sides. Take in a deep breath now and let it go with a sigh. One more time, deep breath in. Let it go. Fill your body now with a warm, healing light of relaxation. Let it fill your body from your toes to your scalp. You're warm, glowing with this healing light. Float away to a happy place or stay within, but whatever you do choose, take rest now. Let your breath be whatever it wants to be, and let your body absorb the benefits of this practice for the next couple of minutes in Shavasana.
slowly coming back to your room.